Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meredith Select Board Workshop of December 15th, 2014 at the Meredith Community Center. Can everyone hear me okay? At this time, I'm going to introduce the board. Hillary Seeger.
Good afternoon.
Lou Kahn.
Good afternoon.
Nathan Torr.
Good afternoon.
Vice Chair Peter Brothers.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm Carla Horn. Phil Warren, our town manager.
Good afternoon.
And Karen Landry, our recording clerk. Before we begin, just a couple of notes that I want to make sure everyone's clear on this meeting this afternoon. First, I'd like to thank the Route 3 and 25 Advisory Committee for their commitment to the town and their hours of work on this committee. This presentation is strictly an informational update of the committee's work and their recommendations to the board of their selected options. This workshop is not in any way meant to be a debate, and it is not a public hearing. There will be a public hearing at the end of January, and at that time you will be free to express your opinions about this project and the merits of the proposals. At the end of the presentation, if anyone would like to ask technical questions regarding any of the information that Lou is presenting to you this afternoon, I will allow those questions, and hopefully Lou will have answers. And Lou, would you like to begin?
Okay, just one question. Phil, do you have copies of that Q&A thing?
Right there.
Are they in the back where people can get
Well,
out?
most of, who doesn't, anybody that wants these? Mark, thank you.
Phil brought a copy of 50.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, both that and the map.
Pardon?
Both that and the drawing.
Okay, very good. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, yeah, this map, I think I keep it fine. That's in my memory.
Does anyone need a copy that doesn't have a copy, that isn't able to share?
Copies are all gone.
We can take 5 minutes and Phil can print out a couple more copies.
Madam Chair, I have extra copies of the map in my hand. I can hand out to people who would like me to.
Sure, go ahead.
Right here.
Here you go.
I hope you've all left your beer cans and bottles
Does
outside.
anyone need a map?
We haven't had a meeting this size.
And I apologize for the lack of copies. I don't think we anticipated quite this many people, but I'm really very glad to see this many people here. It shows that you're interested in the town.
Are there 3 more maps?
Hillary has an
More maps. Good.
I just put them back by the door if somebody comes in.
You got
Thank
it.
you.
You got everything. I took care of you.
Okay,
Go right ahead, Lou.
shall we begin? I'm going to do an introduction here, and then I'm going to do a tag team with the fellow who's the consulting engineer for DOT, Jim McCarthy, who's standing up over there. He's a fellow with the tie on. That makes him an authority figure, just like me. So.
And Nate.
And Nathan. All right, so anyway, where are we? This process has been going on since, as I understand it, about 1975. And for years, that's a while, for years the state was making proposals. Someone told me there was a proposal for a 6-lane highway along the lakefront. There are other proposals that the town had rejected. And this went on and on and on. Finally, the state came and said, look, let's have a committee to talk about what needs to be done. And so there was a gigantic committee from people from different towns, from Center Harbor, from Holderness. I'm not sure how many other towns besides Meredith were involved. And that committee met 26 times from 2006 to 2009. And they considered various alternatives and never really selected one as the preferred alternative, and then the process kind of died, probably for lack of funding. All right? Now, last winter, the State Department of Transportation came to the Select Board and said, we have a $4 million federal grant which we want to apply in the area between Route 104 and Pleasant Street. It is a federal grant. Rosemary, it will not pave Meredith.
I know that, I know that, I'm aware of that. I just wanted people to know
No,
that
I
it needed
just
to be
wanted
done.
to clarify that this
I know.
is directed at a particular area,
I know.
all right? So, anyway, the select board formed a committee at DOT's request, and it was Meredith residents only. And that committee met 9 times this year and considered the alternatives that prior committee had come up with and variations on the alternatives and other alternatives. And finally, narrowed them down, eliminated one after another for various reasons, which we can get into if anyone wants to get into the detail. But the committee came up with this proposal. And this proposal, which Gene will get into in detail, is basically a system. It's not just 3 roundabouts, it's a system of roundabouts. Each one of them has an effect on the others. Now, this system of roundabouts is not what DOT proposed. DOT's favorite proposal was a 2-lane roundabout at the Main Street, Route 3, Route 25 intersection. Even they could not say that that was a solution, but it was their preferred alternative. Why? Because they felt that a 2-lane roundabout could handle the traffic better than any other version. The committee rejected that. Why did it reject it? It rejected it because it would have done property damage to all 4 corners. You will notice that this one does not touch bootleggers, barely takes a nick out of Zacky's. And the parking lots on the southeast and southwest sides get hit, hopefully not too badly. But it did too much property damage. It cut off cross-town traffic from Main Street to Route 25 on a Sunday afternoon. If you tried to cross 2 lanes of traffic trying to get south on Route 3 on a Sunday afternoon, you might make it across the first lane, you get hit on the second lane. So you would have the ambulance chasers and the ambulance sitting there and waiting. So that's another reason why we rejected it. The third reason we rejected it, besides property damage and traffic issues, it's just plain ugly. It would have been a huge traffic circle. It would have been worse than the pavement that we have there now. So, instead what the committee came up with was not to necessarily solve the problem, but to come up with an improvement. And we think that it's an improvement in the sense that if you take traffic coming north on Route 3 and turning onto Route 25, which is a problem on Friday nights and to a certain extent on Saturday mornings, the proposal has 2 lanes making that right turn. Right now you only have 1 lane making that turn. And 2 lanes making that right turn is essentially what DOT wanted. The difference in what DOT wanted and what the committee has agreed to is the 2 lanes eventually merge as they come down toward Pleasant Street, whereas the DOT preferred solution was to have 2 lanes running along Route 25 through Pleasant Street and out to the east. On west and southbound traffic, where we have our Sunday afternoon tie-ups, we can't say that this is a solution. We don't say anything is a solution, but we do think that this will be an improvement. Why do we think it will be an improvement? Is because there's no traffic light. There will be a steady, slow-moving flow. And we think that with a steady, slow-moving flow, the situation will be greatly improved. That's our view. The traffic engineers, again, would prefer a 2-lane roundabout, but they do think this is an improvement over what we have now. I was just saying to somebody that I spent 45 minutes to an hour waiting to get a quarter of a mile from Mass Avenue to the Route 93 access road in Boston. One of the traffic engineers thinks that with this setup, you will actually be able to make it through town in 8 minutes. Now, maybe he's being very, very optimistic. Maybe it's 15 minutes, but that's still a hell of a lot better than what we have now on a Sunday afternoon. Now, the other issue is, in non-summer traffic, in the other 9 months of the year, there's no traffic light. You're going to be able to move very, very freely. The other thing is there are left turns eliminated into the shopping center. Well, you can, if you want to go all the way to the easterly entrance to the shopping center, you can wait in a left turn lane to make a left turn. But if you want to get into the shopping center, you go around the roundabout at Pleasant Street and into the shopping center. Very easy. Never have to stop. Now, pedestrian problems are one of the keys in this issue. The traffic engineers do not like don't walk signals. We were unable to come up with a feasible solution for bridges and tunnels. Each of those would have been very, very expensive, would have required long ramps to be compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Just wouldn't make any sense. If you put in all of these ramps with switchbacks, nobody would use the tunnel. Nobody would use the bridge. And if you put in a bridge, you have to put in elevators. And elevators, particularly outside elevators, are very expensive. And they're also very expensive to maintain. And under court rulings, the town would have to keep a bridge clear all winter, even if no one used it, and would have to keep the tunnel clear and pumped out, even if no one used it. So we did not go to bridges and tunnels. Instead, what we have is the engineers tell us that with the roundabouts, traffic will be moving at a relatively slow and moderate pace. The proposal is set up so that a pedestrian never has to cross more than one lane of traffic at a time. And if a pedestrian is crossing, say, from the boat location, the boat ramp, over to Dover Street, first that pedestrian crosses one lane, gets to a safety island, a big safety island, and he doesn't hold up traffic going south until he gets to the other side of the safety island. And at that point, the traffic going north is moving again. Furthermore, at Dover Street, you don't have people making left turns, so you don't have to have police there saying, okay, now the traffic stops both ways, make your left turn, make your left turn. No left turns. The Lake Street roundabout will take care of those left turns. You want to make a left turn from Dover Street, you go over to Lake Street, you do a U-ey, and you're on your way. Okay? So that's the pedestrians. We hope, the problem will be much alleviated because traffic will be moving slowly and you only have to cross one lane at a time. Now, another thing that the committee considered and why the committee came up with this proposal is the committee thinks that this makes the town much more attractive. It really gives the town an opportunity to shine in terms of being a place that people will say, wow, it was a nice town before, but look what they have done. And I have been following a town in Vermont that I wish we had their assessed valuation, which is enormous, and their tax rate, which is very low. But they had this problem. And here's what they say on their website. Manchester is a town on the move. In 2012 and 13, the town rebuilt its downtown and replaced Malfunction Junction with Function Junction. As a result, downtown Manchester is now graced with two beautiful roundabouts that provide better traffic and pedestrian flow even on the busiest days. However, and this is the point I stress, Function Junction is about more than traffic flow. Downtown Manchester now features attractive landscaping and streetscaping with historic-style, energy-efficient LED streetlights and plenty of benches to sit and enjoy a cup of coffee. Even the New York Times notices the new and improved Manchester. And that's how I got on it. I saw it in the New York Times. Hey, there's this town in Vermont building roundabouts. So I tried to sick Phil on their town manager, and he wouldn't even pick up the town manager there wouldn't pick up the phone. He wouldn't cooperate. Anyway, so look, attractiveness for pedestrians and for motorists was also a very big consideration for the committee. All right, now, the plan is still being tweaked for various issues, including emergency fire and safety issues. The engineers will be talking with Phil and with the fire chief and the police chief to try to resolve these issues. which they tell me comes up every time they have one of these sort of roundabout plans, and always gets worked out. So we'll see how that one works out. However we tweak the plan, it is very unlikely there will be any major change, and so I think the committee feels they've done what they can, and from here on, you know, the town manager, the town staff members, and the engineers will work it out. There will be, as Carla said, a public hearing on January 26th, and that will be when the select board votes as to whether or not to approve the proposal as it then stands. In the meantime, I am going to be meeting with various groups. Anyone who wants, you know, me to bring the map and explain it to them, I will be doing that in the intervening month. If approved, the state expects to start engineering and land acquisition in 2015, and construction should be completed in 2017 or 18. This pleases me entirely because it could happen in my lifetime, and this was never a possibility, okay? The other point that I want to make before I tag Gene and turn him loose is there is not a penny of town funding involved. This is a gift. It is a gift from the federal government, who you all love, I know, and from state DOT. The town will not be spending a penny on this. So with that, take it away, Gene. Just long as the red light's on.
Okay, everyone can hear me. Okay. All right, well, Lou actually gave a really, really good comprehensive story of the year that we've had working on this project, but I think I just want to clarify a few things and make sure that everyone understands what is being presented in this alternative. So, just because the DOT is here, one correction, at no point did the DOT or the designer make a recommendation. It is true, at the 325 intersection, we did present 2-lane roundabouts, a lot of different versions of them, and they do in fact accommodate the traffic a lot better than a single-lane roundabout or the signal would do. It was, again, that was presented, and as Lou said, it was rejected by the committee, but it was always there for information, for consideration, so it was not necessarily a recommendation. The plan that you do have in front of you is the recommendation from the advisory committee that came out of 9 meetings this past year. So I want to just explain it in a little more detail so everybody understands what it is and possibly what it is not. So it is a system, we call it the roundabout alternative mainly because we do accommodate about 2,000 feet of roadway right in the center of Meredith Village. So what we have are these 3 roundabouts, Lake Street, 325, and Pleasant/Route 25. These are all connected by a median separated 2-lane roadway. So there's a single lane in each direction for the majority of it. And then for that right turn, as Lou described, it does widen out so that we can have the 2 lanes making that right turn. And that really addresses some of those peak flows of people coming up into Meredith, making that right turn. Now, the thing about the median, what it means is for this length of roadway, you will not make a left turn, ever. So there's no left turns to get to the other side of the road. There's no left turns at at each of these intersections. You always make a right turn. If there's something on the other side of the road, go to that next roundabout, make the U-turn, come back, and go in. So it's a very efficient way of moving traffic. And we have this term we keep using, it's slow, steady flow. So the roundabouts are designed for cars, and you guys know it, right up here in Parade Road, you can't drive 25 or 30 miles an hour around that roundabout. It's physically impossible. They're designed for 15 to 18 miles an hour. As you go between the roundabouts, the hope is that people are going to be in this tree-lined, type of a parkway, and they're going to be driving at a slower pace. So it's slow, it's steady traffic. Instead of you lining up at a signal, you're going to be flowing. And again, I think it was a big push for the committee that 9 months out of the year, or however, this is going to work a lot better than waiting at some of these traffic signals. With normal traffic volumes, it's going to flow. Now, each of these roundabouts has been designed to accommodate trucks, fire trucks, large delivery trucks. We're on a U.S. highway here, we're on a state highway here. They have to be designed to accommodate those trucks. So people look at the roundabouts and think they're kind of small, some of them are, but they do accommodate for all those important movements. We have to make sure that those trucks can make those turns. Now, they're going to have to drive slowly, they're going to have to use the truck aprons, but they will be able to traverse through this roadway. I have one other graphic that I brought. I'm going to pull it out a little bit maybe. And just talk about, this is the typical section that would exist between each roundabout. And you'll see that there is a landscape median, which would be elevated. We would have some sort of landscaping, streetscaping as part of that. And then each roadway has one travel lane with a very wide shoulder bike lane. And if you look at that width, it's a 20-foot width we call curb to curb. That width was specifically designed for emergency vehicles. That in the past, that the congestion along this corridor has always caused issues with emergency vehicles being able to get through. So this was done especially so that if there wasn't an issue, the lights go on, the cars could move to the side and provide a corridor for emergency vehicles to get through. We've also provided a couple of openings in the median. Halfway through, you can see the little white areas just north of Dover Street, and there's one right by the Meredith Village Savings Bank on Route 25. Those would be median openings that would be provided for the emergency vehicles to make a U-turn if they needed to. Just for them, not for you, just again for emergency use. And again, this is for that nice, safe, slow, steady flow of traffic. Fortunately, most of the impacts are really isolated to the three intersections. The right-of-way, especially on Route 3, is quite wide. You'd be surprised at how much right-of-way is actually there. So each of the corners where we have the intersections, there are some impacts. Lou mentioned at the 325 intersection, we do not touch the bootleggers building. The sidewalk in front of the building stays. We've moved everything away from that so the building would not be impacted. The other quadrant where the old pizza place and the Auberchan's was, we do hit that corner. Probably the bigger immediate impacts are really to the Mills Falls parking lot and to the Inn at Bay Point parking lot. The Mill Falls parking lot, we lost about 5 or 6 of those spaces. At the Inn at Bay Point, we lost about 10, which is actually a pretty significant number of what he has there. So what you see in the graphic is actually a concept that we developed to try to address that impact, and it reconfigured that whole parking lot in an effort to minimize the spaces that were impacted. And with that redesign, we were able to reduce it to only maybe a 1 or 2 space loss. And Rusty has seen that, and he likes it. So it's probably something that we can work on as you get to the final design that will mitigate the parking impact that roundabout has. At the Pleasant Street, we've kind of moved that in order to avoid the deli. There are some impacts in each of the quadrants, but they're pretty minimal. Along the Route 25 corridor there, and this is something that really came from the committee, they really wanted to eliminate the impacts to Seaman Park. So we've actually held that curb line along the lakes front and moved it to the north. So in doing that, we definitely have an impact along that stretch in front of the 2 bank buildings. It's anywhere from 5 to 10 feet of widening that or impact that we will have on that north side. The 2 buildings that were impacting there up where the pizza place is and the other one, the bank says that those were buildings that they had already identified and that they were not having a difficult time seeing those impacts. So again, we've actually even narrowed some of the shoulders when we go to the 2-lane section, really to minimize the impacts that we will see at that location. You'll see the purple on the map is really the sidewalks and crosswalks, as Lou referred. Pedestrians crossing at a roundabout are going to be a lot safer than what they are today on those mid-blocks. They're designed so that as you're approaching the roundabout, you're slowing down, so people are crossing one lane, one direction, and mostly one lane of traffic at a time. So the slow speeds are what really makes it a safe movement for pedestrians to cross. And you can see even at Lake Street, we have 2 separate crossings of Route 3. We have maintained the crosswalk at Dover Street. Again, as Lou alluded to, they're simpler because you're just crossing one lane of traffic. You get to a median, it's 8 feet wide, it's a refuge, then you cross the other direction of traffic. Each of the quadrants, both at the other 2 roundabouts, there are crosswalks at all of those approaches so that people can safely cross at all those locations. And we've tried to interconnect all of your existing paths, and we've actually even proposed some sidewalks where there really aren't any today, just to make sure that you have a nice flow and that there's pedestrian accommodation throughout. And even throughout this location, because we have that nice wide shoulder, it's also going to be much more comfortable for people on bicycles. We did run a cost estimate for this, and what has been presented here right now is we're showing that it will fit within the funding that is currently available for this project. As Lou said, this is all federal money, and there is some state money in it. There's no local money. So everything that you see here would be part of the project as it moves forward. Not sure there's anything else, and I think certainly I'm available if anybody has questions.
Well, I would suggest maybe just trace traffic flow, because there seems to be some question as to how many lanes we're going which way. Westerly on Route 25, if you trace the traffic flow, there's one lane coming from the Pleasant Street roundabout. It goes one lane around the Route 25 roundabout. It goes one lane past Dover Street into the Lake Street roundabout, and one lane up the hill. Coming down the hill from 104, you have one lane. It comes to the Lake Street roundabout. It continues as one lane, and then widens out as it approaches the Route 25 roundabout into 2 lanes, so that 2 lanes will make that turn, whereas only one is doing it right now. Then those 2 lanes continue along Route 25. Route 25 is not widened. The bank, the scenic park is not affected in this plan. And then those 2 lanes will narrow down as they approach Pleasant Street. Anyone who wants to get into the bank or get into the shopping center can go around that roundabout and go. There'll be a driveway that goes into the parking lots for the bank and the shopping center. You go around that roundabout, and then, although the road won't widen, there will be the left turn lane that now extends from the easterly section of the shopping center. That left turn lane will be extended back in the direction of the roundabout. So if someone insists that they don't want to use the roundabout and the new driveway, but wants to make a left turn into the shopping center, there will be a lane where they can sit until hell freezes over. So.
Right, and let me just show, this is where that second lane, just north of Dover Street, it widens, so you have 2 lanes from this point, it goes around, you follow it, and then it merges here, and you're back to a single lane. And then as Lou said, at this location, we've just provided that, what we call a 3-lane section, which is really just that center turn lane, so that people coming out of all these different businesses can get into a left turn lane, make the left turn, or if you're trying to get out, you can make that left turn. The important movement to maintain for the shopping center is that their deliveries right now, those trucks are actually coming into this driveway, and they kind of make this counterclockwise and unload in the back and then come out this way. Right now, they kind of have to maneuver through the parking lot and try to make a left turn. Now they can get out right at the roundabout. Those big monster trucks can make this movement, they can go this way, and they can go this way. We've designed it so the truck could actually make that left turn, go in here, but then they're kind of stuck. So it's still we still right now are showing that that's maintained as a full access. This is maintained operating the way it's supposed to operate today, which is a right in, right out. I know people sneak it, they're not supposed to, so we kind of brought this median back to make sure they don't do it, because we just built you a nice roundabout. This is how we want you getting out of here. Same for the bank. This is only for emergency use, so if you're at the bank and you want to get out, and you want to head up 25, you go to the roundabout, you make a U-turn, and off you go. Or you can just come back this way and use this roundabout to come out. Instead of trying to make that left turn on Route 25, you have two opportunities, all right turns, much safer.
I would point out
Croc TV.